We got one last WWE note to get to. New Japan Pro Wrestling announced this week that Jeff Cobb has been granted his release to leave the company and will wrestle. He wrestled his last match this morning for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Cobb has been rumored for WWE for weeks. As a result, Cobb and Callum Newman had will vacate the IWGP Tag Team Championships. His last match will be against Hiroshi Tanahashi. It was this morning. New Japan Pro Wrestling wrote the following: New Japan Pro Wrestling has come to terms with the departure of Jeff Cobb at his request. With Cobb one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions, the titles have been vacated. Cobb's final match was on April 19th, and Dave Meltzer had more details. This raised the question of why New Japan booked Cobb and Newman to win the titles on April 5th at Sakura Genesis. Rumors surfaced that WWE was interested in Cobb last month, and according to Meltzer, Cobb's tag team title win was a booking error. He reported that New Japan officials didn't know that Cobb was leaving and that he was no longer under contract. Meltzer speculated that New Japan officials didn't know exactly when Cobb was leaving. They initially put the titles on Cobb and Newman as a way to elevate Newman, but then Cobb decided to leave suddenly. Meltzer believes NJPW didn't expect Cobb's sudden exit, otherwise they would have never put the titles on him. Also, Meltzer believes WWE wanted Jeff Cobb as early as Sunday or Monday for this week. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that WWE wants Cobb to start soon, but the exact date is unknown. The only thing that Wrestling Observer newsletter confirms is that Cobb will not be the mystery opponent for Randy Orton at WrestleMania 41. It was noted that Cobb didn't have a lot of interest in AEW, even though he had appeared for them in the past. The Observer also reports that New Japan officials were aware Cobb was leaving, but the company was blindsided by WWE reportedly pulling Cobb early. Fightful Select has another update on the proceedings. According to Fightful's update, New Japan and multiple wrestlers on the roster reportedly knew that Cobb was leaving as early as 1 month ago. This conflicts with the Wrestling Observer saying that New Japan was blindsided, but nonetheless, it was weird because he was setting up to face Hiroki Goto for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship at Wrestling Dontaku. However, WWE is rumored to have pulled Cobb before New Japan Pro Wrestling began officially advertising the matchup. We'll go to you first, Jen, since you're joining us. What do you think about all this news concerning Cobb leaving New Japan and the possibility, the potential of WWE pulling him early despite New Japan having plans for him to write him off, basically?
I mean, that's interesting that like WWE would kind of get in the way of him, like his booking on the way out. But at the same time, I really don't know what their plans are. Like I don't expect Jeff Cobb, like you mentioned, I don't expect him to like show up at WrestleMania and be Randy Orton's mystery opponent. But, for all we know, their timeline is different than kind of, you know what I mean? You never know. Like WWE could have their reasons why they needed him now. Like whether it's to debut right away or like, clearing medical stuff or whatever it is. Like, I don't know. They probably have their reasons for having to do it. Kind of sucks for New Japan, but, this is happening a lot to New Japan lately, unfortunately, as far as like they're losing talent. But I also don't think that it was like a total coincidence that The Rock was wearing a New Japan shirt the other day on Instagram. You know what I mean? So like
he was foreshadowing all this week. Everything that happened this week was The Rock foreshadowing last week.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be like too bummed out if I was a big New Japan fan right now either, because like sometimes things get their worst before they get really good. You know what I mean? And like maybe there's really good times coming around for New Japan. I don't know, but I do like Jeff Cobb. You mentioned AEW. His I don't know how many matches he had there. I saw one of them live in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure he wrestled Moxley in Atlanta like 5 years ago. And I was there live in the building for that. I saw Jeff Cobb live at a small company called Dojo Pro years and years ago. And that was when there was buzz about him maybe going to like a major company then. And that was like 7 years ago or whatever. So like, Jeff Cobb's always been great. He's had a great run in New Japan. You'd be able to talk to it more than I'd be able to, SP3, because I know you're more tapped into New Japan on a consistent basis. But I would say, I think he would fit in with the WWE. If that's where he's headed, that's where I expect him to go. And yeah, I mean, he's obviously he's a veteran. I just don't. I saw some people saying like he should get involved in the main event. He should be Randy Orton's opponent and all that stuff. I wouldn't expect all that right away, but I would expect him to like be the NXT champion almost immediately, potentially, or if they want him on Raw or SmackDown, he could be on Raw or SmackDown. I just wouldn't like. They're gonna have to ease him in though. Like he's a guy who's never been on their programming before ever, and the WWE universe is gonna need to, they're gonna need to kind of learn about him and stuff a little bit before they do all that, probably. But
yeah, that's why I kind of put it here after we talked about NXT, because I think that that's the best way you can introduce him to the audience. And NXT needs guys in the men's division because they have this big triple threat today with Javon Evans, Obafemi, and Trick Williams. I think Trick Williams been ready to go to the main roster. You got guys like Ethan Page. You got a Wesley who's been there for years. These are guys that should probably go up to the main roster. So you're going to have spots to fill. I know Jeff Cobb is 42 years old, but there's a bunch of 40-year-olds in WWE. LA Knight was 40 years old in NXT. Shawn Spears was just North American champion at 40 years old. Like you could put him in there to introduce him to the audience for a couple of months to a year before he goes to the main roster. I 100% that should probably be where he started, despite him being great for New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's just it's not weird to me though with WWE potentially pulling him, because this is basically what they did with Stephanie Vicaire. They pulled her despite her having dates for CMLL. This kind of seems to be what WWE is doing right now. If you're associated to AEW, they're going to clap back at you. They're going to treat you like AEW.
Well, and that's, the Vicaire thing was interesting too, because she was basically doing her, without us really realizing it at the time, she was like doing her WWE auditions on AEW. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So there's also that aspect of it also of like locking people down when they're available. Like, there's people who are going to have options. And the thing with Jeff Cobb being 42 or whatever, a different situation, obviously, because Cody had been there previously and built a name for himself and come back, but Cody's about to be 40. Like there's plenty of performers in pro wrestling, especially now. I'm not nearly as concerned about it as I was like 10, 20 years ago. Now with like the advances in medicine, and people are coming back from injuries that we thought were career ending like pretty quick now. And, just it's one of those things where like people don't realize in pro wrestling, especially in a major company, a lot of these people's primes are going to be in like their mid 30s to early 40s, like, especially because like we talk about Jeff Cobb specifically. I've heard wrestlers talk about it. It takes, today it's a little bit easier because like social media and stuff, like you can kind of go viral and like spread, people can become aware of you faster. But if you've never been on WWE TV, it's going to take you a solid couple years before like the audience is like really fully behind you for them to like, really do a lot with you. Like they really need to introduce you in. So anyway, I expect Jeff Cobb to be in WWE, but that's not like a report or anything. That just seems pretty obvious. It seems to be the vibe of what everyone expects to happen. So
yeah. Josh, did you want to mention anything about Cobb making the move?
No, I mean, like I said weeks ago, I think it's the right move to do it now. He is up there in age. A lot of them, usually end up coming back to the States, and I think that's probably what he wants. He wants to live in the States. I think that's a part of it. But yeah, I mean, being up there at his age, sometimes you don't know. Sometimes the window could close easily, and I think this is the best opportunity to go somewhere to make probably the most money he's ever made in his life. So, it was WWE. I think it's WWE. I think too many signs are pointed to WWE. If he goes there, and I hope it works out for him, because I think he could be a big asset, especially somebody who's a great worker in the ring. Because I don't expect him to be like a world champion or anything like that. Like maybe a mid-card champion at most, but besides that, I think right now, it's the right time for him to do it.
we talked about New Japan Pro Wrestling's Jeff Cobb going to WWE, and it seems like one of AEW's top stars might be going to WWE as well. As previously mentioned, former AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May is believed to be in a contract year, with her contract rumored to expire later this summer. Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez had more details on Tuesday's Wrestling Observer Radio. There has been talk about May's AEW status after she shared a story on Instagram that reads, "You can't make the wrong decision because every decision leads you to where you're supposed to be." According to Meltzer, it was a photo of Orlando, Florida, indicating WWE or WWE NXT. Meltzer also reported that people within WWE know that Mariah May wants to go to WWE. Meltzer indicated that people believe that May's contract is up this year, as stated in the earlier report. He added on May's contract, "I don't know when her contract is up. Everyone seems to think that it's the summer that it's up." Alvarez reported that May signed a 2-year deal with AEW back in November of 2023. He says, "I was given the impression it was a 2-year deal that she signed originally. So I guess you can do the math." Alvarez noted that the belief in AEW is also that she will go to WWE. He said, "But I have heard the same thing, that at least in AEW, there's a belief that she's heading to WWE." Meltzer speculated that this would likely explain why Mariah May was taking off of AEW TV after Hollywood ending at Revolution against Timeless Toni Storm. Meltzer speculated that while AEW could likely offer more money to Mariah May than WWE, WWE has a more intoxicating stage, and the allure of WWE is more enticing to wrestlers despite potentially receiving bigger money deals from AEW, citing Stephanie Vicaire, who signed with WWE last year. During a recent interview, Vicaire revealed that AEW gave her a better financial offer. She accepted an offer from WWE because going to WWE was always her dream as a wrestler. PW Insider had released a report as well on Mariah May, saying that she has significant time left on her current AEW contract and it's unlikely she will be joining WWE imminently. One source informed PW Insider that they believe her AEW contract goes through November of 2025, while another thinks that it has have more time beyond that. May debuted on AEW TV in November of 2023 when AEW announced her signing in that same month. She, of course, won the AEW Women's World Championship at All In 2024. May later revealed in an interview that she had signed before All In 2023. Alvarez reported that it's a 2-year deal, so you can make of that of what you will. PW Insider also notes that while there was rumors making the rounds that days after Mariah May and Toni Storm's Hollywood ending, that May requested her release from AEW, however, PW Insider was never able to confirm that rumor's accuracy, and she was not granted any type of release. Additionally, PW Insider reports that WWE sources are playing coy regarding their interest in May, and that she is currently signed to another promotion, while sources close to her believe WWE is our ultimate goal, and some in AEW expect her to go there. Fightful indicates that May is strategically maximizing her leverage for negotiations. AEW reportedly hopes to retain her, though she hasn't been at shows since Revolution. While Jeff Cobb was on the internal roster for WWE page without a contract, May still has several months on her AEW deal. Short length of her AEW contract surprised a lot of people within AEW, though. Neither May nor her management has commented on the situation, though the Wrestling Observer newsletter then reported on Thursday, that Mariah May apparently made it clear at the time of her trilogy matchup with Toni Storm at Revolution that she was not signing a new AEW deal. So they booked it at that time for that reason. There has reportedly been talk in WWE regarding Mariah May coming in, with it being known by key people in WWE that the belief is she wants to come in as well. We will start with you, Jensen. What do you think about the Mariah May reports, and what's your number you're putting it on, 0 to 100, that we see Mariah May in WWE sometime in 2025?
I mean, I'd say it's probably like 90 something percent. I think she's going to go to the WWE. And she's not unique in this situation, by the way. Like, and this is going to be maybe something tough for diehard AEW fans to digest, but this is just the honest truth. And I'm not going to say names or anything like that, but I mean, and people can speculate also, and yeah, I'm sure people know this anyways. But like, I know of multiple people currently signed to AEW that were offered longer deals and signed shorter deals specifically because they want to use AEW as a stepping stone to get to the WWE. So like, it's going to keep happening. Now it's going to happen the other way too. Like Ricochet had the option to stay in the WWE, and he was like, "No, I'm good. I'm going to go to AEW." It isn't something that's exclusively like everyone who ever goes to AEW is using it to get to the WWE. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there are definitely people currently on that roster that it's like, I think it's pretty common to want something like a 2-year deal because you can get television exposure. And WWE is proven with, I mean, obviously with Cody and CM Punk, they're different because, they were already, in the WWE previously. But on top of that, guys like Penta and Phoenix, and even with NXT, like Ricky Starks and Ethan Page and stuff, they're Jade Cargill, another great example. Like WWE is going to push you if you're successful in AEW. If they have like a good idea for you or like a good vision for you, and like, you're going to have such a better chance at immediately being a big deal in the WWE if you had been in AEW first versus like coming straight from the Indies or anywhere else. So that's just something that AEW is going to have to constantly deal with. But it's kind of the double-edged sword of having a humongous roster like they do, because they're going to constantly be dealing with people that are either not being used consistently, or somebody like Mariah, who is used consistently, used at a high level, a main event level talent. I think Mariah May is super talented, but similar to Jade, there is an overall ceiling to AEW versus WWE when it comes to like being an actual like major star, like even outside of wrestling. Like Jade doesn't want to just be just Jade Cargill, the wrestler. Jade wants to be Jade Cargill from the WWE, but she wants to be famous. Like, she wants to probably do movies. She probably wants to do a bunch of stuff. I'm from Atlanta, and I've seen her around before, and like, she's at the Hawks games all the time and stuff. And she's like mingling with like Quavo comes to the games and stuff. Like, she's in with like the celebrity crowd. And like, I think that she wants to be bigger than just wrestling. And I think that Mariah is probably the same type of way. Like, she's incredibly marketable, and in AEW, like, she can have a good career there. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, for some people, for someone like Will Ospreay at the moment, like, that's what he wants. It seems like he had the option for multiple companies. What Will Ospreay wants right now is to have banger matches in a company that he loves against people he loves being around and stuff. And he's putting together a resume of matches that are absolutely incredible. And I love it as a wrestling fan. But his prerogative might be different than someone like Mariah May's prerogative, which might be, hey, I can be this big, with AEW, but I could be this big with the WWE. And, she has the talent to do it. So I don't think it's just her. There's plenty of people on the AEW roster right now that are probably in a similar boat where they're like, when my contract's up, and it goes both ways, like I keep mentioning, because not even just when it comes to like your preference of this company versus that company, the idea of free agency in general, I think you're kind of a fool to not test free agency right now. If you have any kind of value in wrestling, you would want to know what your actual market value is right now, because stuff is constantly changing and it's evolving so much. And we've seen it in other sports a lot with like the big TV deals and the salary caps changing and all this kind of stuff. It's the same kind of stuff's happening in wrestling when they're getting these Netflix deals and more USA deals and their toy deals with Mattel and all these massive things that they're doing worldwide. Like, you would be a kind of a fool to not test free agency. So even if Mariah's situation winds up being more like Daniel Garcia or someone, where like Daniel Garcia, it looked like he might have had the option, he wound up staying, he probably had negotiations, I would imagine, to find out, okay, what am I worth? What's the WWE think of me? What was the AEW want? And where do I want to stay, or where do I want to go? So I don't blame Mariah at all for testing free agency if that's what she's doing. I wouldn't be surprised at all if she went to the WWE, because I think that's for sure. I knew Mariah May back when she was a fan. Like, she would just like, she'd cosplay and go to WWE. Like, she's a WWE fan, which is like so many of us were growing up. So like, it's not surprising if she wants to go to the WWE, but at the same time, I won't blame her if she stays in AEW. If she negotiates and AEW gives her a good deal and they're like, listen, we're gonna make you the face of our women's division, like, still, like, you're gonna be the woman for the next, the next 2 years on top of what we've already done. We're gonna keep doing it. She might stay for all I know, but this is going to keep happening. And it's great that we have the options as fans and as wrestlers, that you have the option of these two major companies to even have negotiations like this.
Josh, what about you? What percentage are you putting on Mariah May making the jump this year?
This year, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to say 50%, 50-50, because I think she is playing her cards right when it comes to negotiations. I think that's basically what she's doing. Based off the Stephanie Vaquer situation, I think she's definitely going to get offered more money with AEW. And I think that's probably going to be where she's going to have to decide. It's like, you're either going to take more money or go to the bigger brand. So I think that's why I'm gonna go with 50. Would I be surprised that she goes to WWE? A little bit, because I did see her staying in AEW because of that, because of financially. But she ends up going. That's what she wanted to do. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna be mad at it, right? If that's what she wanted to do. By all means, she has every right to do that. She has every right, when she becomes a free agent, to go where she wants. And if it happens, it happens. At least she's doing it the right way.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong at all with like letting a contract run out, and like, it's just business. Like that could happen at any job anywhere. Like, you did your 2 years and you want to see if anyone else is interested in your work. Like,
and I also think that it's just her maximizing what she could do right now. As far as like, she made it clear that she's not going to sign a new deal. Who's to say that she didn't sign it then? Because by the time her contract runs out, she's going to be offered more money. So, and that's usually the case in a lot of sports. Guys don't sign extensions during their free agent season, because they know if they have a good season, they're gonna get more money. That's basically
she wants to test the market. That's why she didn't sign the deal before Revolution, because she can't really negotiate with WWE until she's a free agent.
Yeah, because it's like with Aaron Judge, when the Yankees offered him an extension, it was a lot less money. He has not only an MVP season, but he sets the American League home run record. And then he got about 160, 170 more $1 million. So
it worked out great for him.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's just her maximizing, her, that. But then also because, she probably sees it as, hey, they're probably gonna offer me more money because they're in the sense of they don't want to lose another person to WWE. Exactly. I understand it. I get it. It's a bit, at the end of the day, it's a business. And I thought when it came to like when Stephanie made her comments, I thought Stephanie should have done that. I thought she should have played it a little bit better. I thought she should have maximized her value more.
I just don't think Stephanie should have said that in an interview.
Yeah, and
I really wish she wouldn't have, because that made me. I think that it's either dumb to do that, to take less money because it's your dream. Well, wake the fuck up, because this is the wrestling business. This is not the wrestling dream. This is the wrestling business. So you should take as much money as possible, because please guarantee, if you would have been on AEW television for a 2-year deal, they would have paid you more money by the time your deal expired. So it's great what she's doing right now, and she's probably earning her next contract right now, what she's doing in NXT. That is all fine and dandy. So if it's not dumb to take that deal, it is dumb to say it in an interview, in my opinion.
Yes.
No, it was. And that's why I was like, I thought she should have played it well. She was also in the situation where, she wasn't like Mariah May, where Mariah May is still under contract with AEW. Stephanie, because the CMLL's deals are kind of like more like loose. So she could have maximized that. At the end of the day, she made her decision. but I think Mariah is playing it smart, in my opinion.
For some of these chats that you've thrown up, I just want to comment real quick on there was one from senior nerd. I'm sorry. It says, remember MJF grew up as a huge WWE fan. He even had WWE themed bar mitzvah and did tease the bidding war 2024 only to re-sign with AEW. Just saying. I did think about that as well. Well, I shouldn't say the difference because Mariah May is young as well, but like just keep in mind with MJF, he's still in like his mid-20s. Like that's like he's going to the WWE. Like
he is.
You know, it's yeah. I mean, so in his situation, I think he was really smart. Even though I haven't loved all of the booking of MJF since then, unfortunately. Like I liked his title run for the most part, but I didn't like the stuff with Adam Cole, and that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, a lot of us did.
but for MJF, he got paid a ton of money. So it's like, dude, you got what you wanted. You got the bag, and with the bag comes the extension. It is what it is. That's business. Yeah. So, however they book him during that time, like he has to. You got to go play ball. Like you're getting paid the money to go do whatever they tell you to do at this point. So, but I think MJF's kind of not a great example because I do think he's going to wind up in the WWE still in his prime, even before he even hits his prime.
WWE don't push anybody until they're 35 anyway.
Right. And then there was one more about the talent leaving from watching stuff. About AEW keeps building talent like Ricky, Jade, Mariah. They end up leaving. That's unfortunately there's not a whole lot that AEW is going to be able to do about that. And it's similar to like TNA dealt with it kind of forever. Also, like TNA obviously not as big as AEW, but it's the same type of thing where it's shorter deals, but. Not for everybody, but that's the seesaw of all this. Because it's like, if you're a talent and you think you're going to have more value in 2 years, the wrestling business is changing so much so quickly. I wouldn't want to sign long deals right now. And if you do, you're kind of pigeonholing yourself because you could wind up like, Malachi Black or whatever, and it gets reported you signed like a 5-year deal and it's like 2 years in and like everything has changed. And it's like, you don't want to be stuck either for forever when like if things aren't going well or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to use him as like the exact example, but y'all know the kind of what I mean. So, but it's just one of those things where like it's all a seesaw of business, and Tony Khan can't just like halt business and just can't not push stars because he's afraid that they're going to leave, because it's more likely they're going to stay if they're treated well too. So like it's all balanced.
Yeah, and that was an example I was going to say, because I know people bring up Ricky Starks, but Ricky Starks' situation was different. It wasn't, they didn't end on good terms. So
yes,
each situation is different. So when it comes to that, so like with Jade had the option to stay. They matched her deal, but she wanted to go to WWE because it's a bigger brand.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's all whoever, what people's prerogatives are. And I think that with Ricky, and I saw Sean tweet about this other day, and I agreed. I think Ricky's a good example of wrestlers really need to start working like clauses into their contract that include, if I'm not used within a certain amount of time, I can walk. But that goes both ways too. Like you can't just refuse bookings. You can't go to wrestler A and be like, hey, we want you to do this or this. And you're just like, no, I'm not going to the show. I'm not doing that. And you can't freeze yourself out that they can keep you on your deal if that's the case. But I would say that, Ricky is not even a unique example either, because there are other people on AEW's roster that are like just sitting around for like months, if not years at a time. And if they want to sit there and get paid to not work, like that's totally cool too. Like I'm not hating on them for that at all. But like if they want to be out there and working, like Ricky was publicly talking about wanting to be back on TV. And if he's not going to be on TV, let me do GCW, let me do Defy, let me do these other indies and stuff. I want to be working. If that's the case, and you're not refusing booking plans from Tony, you should be able to leave, in my opinion. So
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So. I would put Mariah May. I'm going to put it at 60%. I'm a little bit higher than Josh, but behind Jesse. As far as this year, I think eventually she is going to leave, but this year I would put it at 60% to be modest.